Hey family, Pastor George here, your pastor of stewardship, finance, and community engagement. We've been covering the fast and walking through it, but today I'm going to be answering your questions regarding the financial fast. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, family. Pastor George here, your pastor of stewardship, finance, and community engagement. I'm so excited about this upcoming episode of SET-4-LIFE. Last week, Bishop Ulmer and co-pastor John Paul Foster, we went over a lot of areas of fasting. I pray it was a blessing because when you go through fasting, there's a lot of things you go through, and I'm glad we covered it. If you want more information about it, you can also watch the replay. But this week right here, we're going to be going over the financial fast. And with me here today, my co-pilot, I have Dannete Wilkerson. And before we have her come on and also talk, a couple of things. Number one, she used to be the stewardship coordinator originally here, worked at the church for a very long time. We've worked together for over 20 years in the area of finance and also helping people. Dannete, welcome.
Thank you, George, so much for having me here. I'm so excited. I learned a lot from you guys last week, listening to you and Bishop especially, and Pastor JP. It was amazing. Just every Sunday, we're doing the fast. And so before we get into the financial fast and the details, and I have all the questions from the audience, so I get to interview you today. Can you just explain for those who don't really understand or know, what does stewardship mean, and then tie it into why we're doing the financial fast?
That's a great question. So first of all, in stewardship, you have stewardship over 4 areas of your life. The first is time. There's 86,000 seconds in a day. How well you treat those days and how well you operate that towards God's glory is what we cover. First of all, time. The second is talent, skill. Everybody has a talent or a skill that you have, and actually you get to utilize that. The third is temple. That's your body. So you ever heard your health is your wealth? So we also talk about how you're treating your temple. And then fourth is, obviously, that's the area of treasure. That's your finances. So we're always making sure we're helping you in those areas. So we cover everything. Because a lot of times when I first started, as you know, at Faithful Central, whenever I call somebody and say, oh, I paid my tithes or I did this, they thought that we just cared about people giving or just the tithe, the 10%. So I just want to let everybody know up front, we care about 100% of how you manage everything. That not only your finances, I care about how you manage your time. Did I tell you there's 86,400 seconds in a day? We care about how you manage your talent, the skill. God has blessed you with the skill. You have a fingerprint. There's nobody in the world like you. And then third, we said your temple, your body, how well you manage that, and then also your treasure, your finances. Great question.
Thank you. That's the money part, which is what we're doing. So
That's right.
You guys were telling us that we could pick things to sacrifice,
Right.
food. You guys are comedy a couple of Sundays ago when you were doing the moments about the 3 F's, fried, fast.
Yeah, man. Yes, we get tempted, right. I said we get tempted with fast food, and then fried food, and then free food.
Free food,
Because
yes.
you guys remember also we're going to be talking about the fast today, the financial fast. And one of the things is we have to really be intentional about how we spend money and how we do things. So one of the things is there's no eating out. And then everybody goes, but wait a second, Pastor George, we're in the middle of a pandemic. How do we do the fast differently? So one of the things is how we do the fast differently is that people said, well, I couldn't go out to eat the same way. But you guys know what I found out is that, my kids showed me that you can actually pull out your phone, you can press a few buttons, and then someone will knock at your door with some food. And they charge something called a delivery fee, and then you tip them and different things like that. So we say don't eat out. That means don't eat in on Uber. Did I say Uber Eats? Who said that? Someone said Uber Eats, but I didn't say Uber Eats. I didn't say DoorDash. I didn't say the ones that we're utilizing. But you understand, we got to look at how we're spending our money and how we're doing these things. So we got to have an account, and be good stewards over everything. So one of the things during the financial fast is like how we're going to adjust doing the financial fast during a pandemic, because also that's another way of helping people in those areas.
So we've been in the fast now about 17 days. We're almost through it. What are some key elements that people should have, included in their financial fast? You talk about buying out, but what if people don't buy out? What if they don't do that? What else can they do during a financial fast to really be on board with this whole notion of sacrifice?
That's a great question. Also, whenever you're doing the fast, if you guys remember, fast is FAST. The F stands for focus. We want to focus on what God's plan is for us. So the first thing is with the financial fast is we're writing down and we're setting apart a time. I'm sorry, I said write down, but I meant type down because nobody writes nothing no more except me. Is you're going to look at what your plan, what God's plan is for you. And we're going to actually have that typed down or written down. And then the A stands for act. Gosh, that's really, really, really what the financial fast is about, is taking action. Not just thinking about things, but we're moving it forward every day. And then the S, as you just went over, stands for sacrifice. And the T is for trust God. Because you're going to trust God to move you toward what your goals are in doing that. So some of the sacrifices, or you saying sacrifices, but these aren't really sacrifices. What you're doing is you're being intentional about how you spend money. As a matter of fact, like you say sacrifices, and a sacrifice because, my kids, I started teaching them about fasting because we went to SoFi Stadium. There's this guy, his name is Derek Pete, and he always says, George, you take your kids to the game. And me and my kids are walking around at the game. And then my kids said, we want to get something to eat. And do you know, my son walked up and they tried to sell us a hot dog for $8. Then I stepped back and then my other son won a piece of bread with a little bit of cheese on it. They said it was $12.50. I told him, you know what? Let's talk about fasting. So fasting, we don't need to spend that money right here. We just need to be intentional about what we're doing. I'm just kidding because I'm saying it. But you see, we're being intentional because now I take my kids to the Costco food court. We don't not eat. So don't call the child abuse people on me, okay? We eat, but we just ain't gonna be eating up in SoFi except we're gonna eat one thing, okay? Now I gotta tell you that the Gatorade in there is $6. I said, they sell a whole case of that other places. So what am I talking about?
I don't know. So wait. What is this? Is this a conversation about what we shouldn't buy as opposed to? So when we go to those that get to go to SoFi, okay. Right. But when we're out and about, the sacrifice of not purchasing fast food or not purchasing candy, Twinkies, donuts, whatever it is. Coffee is another one.
That's a good example.
We have the Starbucks crew, right? We have to have our lattes and all that sort of thing. But during the 21-day focus during the fast, you speak about on the first day, we had to kind of investigate our spending history, right? And so we're writing down everything that we buy. But you said don't buy anything. So
I never said don't buy anything.
Well, what you said, don't eat out.
I said you ain't pressing no buttons and the food just show up. That's what I said.
Tell us more about the key elements and the examples, right, that we should be doing as we're writing down what we're spending our money on. What is the significance of this spending history?
That's a good example. Mm-hmm. So the first day we're dealing with your whole life, as you guys know, your time, your talent, your tempo, and your treasure. Then what we do is we start saying your spending history. That's how you spend money. So what we want to do is start logging in and seeing what you spend money on. Because what we're trying to find out is what we waste money on. There's so many people that sit down with me and say, and they'll start naming, because we talk about investments later, is that people say, oh, I want to own this stock. Oh, I want to own that stock. I want to own this investment. I want to buy a house. They'll say, well, where's the money for that? They'll say, I don't have the money, which is not true. You actually had the money, but I'm going to say, wait, we're going to use the word waste, or we're going to say, we just didn't allocate it properly. You understand? So you have resources. We want to make sure we're doing things where we're allocating them in a way that's producing wealth. So that's how we actually want to allocate that. So the first thing we want to do is look at how we're spending. So you look at the first thing. What's the first thing we do? We tithe. Then we either pay our mortgage or our rent. Then there's some things that are just hard costs. What your utility bills are, what your phone bill is. And then you have something called soft cost. Did I say soft cost? Well, I'm going to say soft cost again. Those are things you have a little bit of flexibility with, is how much you spend, on things, on food and different things in these areas. so that you can actually find out where we're wasting money. Because you know what? One thing we're finding out right now is right now we're living in an environment that we have inflation. You understand what inflation is, right? Inflation is there's a lot of bills, dollars, and then there's a shorter supply. So that makes prices go up. And you guys say, well, what's inflation? Get some gas. Go do certain things. You'll see how things will escalate. So what's happened now is we're spending more money. If we hadn't had set things aside to be able to save right now, you'd be spending more than what you bring in. That's why we go through and look at how you're spending money. So we can always make sure you're tithing, giving, but then also you're setting aside a certain amount that you want to begin to save and invest. Last thing, I'm coming back to you. As you know, we always want people to begin to save money. So one of the first things we do is we look at how we waste money or how there's money that's not allocated and we stop doing it. Like remember when people used to go to vending machines? Oh, you remember these are worship vending machines. You guys know when you worship vending machines, you put your money in, then you bow down? Yeah, you know, like that when you worship vending machines. Instead, we told everybody the minute the fast starts, get a prosperity jar. Get a jar. And then what you do is anytime you're about to waste money, like going to vending machines, gonna spend, when Derek and all the people are down at SoFi Stadium, instead of putting that money there, put it in the prosperity jar. Don't spend the money. What you wanna do is you wanna start taking the money and not wasting it. That's what the fast is about.
Okay. You guys go to SoFi quite a bit, I see. Okay, I'm gonna try to figure out why I'm not invited, me and my crew. But anyway, there's a financial fast workbook.
Yes.
Okay, so in the workbook, we have all these days of the week that we're focused on specific areas. And there's something in there that you mentioned about using your mind. Right. And it's an acronym. Can you dig into that a little bit just to help people understand the psychology of spending money?
Yes. So whenever we use our mind, mind is M-I-N-D. So the M stands for money, like how we manage money. So, like money can be used, it can be used for good, it can be used for bad, it can be used for different things. So we want to look at how we spend it. This is important. I is intelligence. So we want to spend our money intelligently, and we're doing this. And then the N stands for need. Need means there has to be a why. If you ever look at why someone works out, why someone does certain things, there has to be a need for you to want to do things correctly. In other words, like some people say, the first question is, why are you saving money? I want to invest so that I can retire one day. I want to further God's kingdom. I want to be able to open up my own company. Also, I'd like to buy a home. So then that gives you the need. So you say, hey, instead of me going out and spending this money this way or going on the strip and spending this money this way, I actually have a need to achieve that goal. And then the D stands for discipline. In order to achieve something, there has to be a level of discipline to achieve that goal. So it's money, intelligence, need, discipline, and that's how you walk through it.
Okay, good. Okay. So then you talk about a farm, disciplining. What about what's up with the farm thing?
Gotcha. So before I go on the farm, I just want to let you guys know when we're doing this fast, what I'm doing is I'm actually taking 21 days. And we're using our best ideas that you want to take and meditate on them. So farm is quite simply if you remember in the biblical time, or I don't know if if you've ever been in the South, if you're in the South, shout out, if you're in the South, or actually I grew up in the Midwest. On a farm, what do you have? You have chickens, cows, pigs, and horses. So if you have a farm, everyone just type in the chat or just shout out your last name. You have, I'm going to say Thompson Farm. How do you make that farm bigger? There's only two ways to make that farm bigger. One, you buy more animals. Later on, when I talk about investing, that means putting money in monthly. The second way is the animals, you got it, right? The animals can reproduce and create more animals. Well, God creates them, but there's more animals. And then your farm grows. And then you cultivate that farm. So what we're talking about is how are you going to build your farm and your family? So what happens is we're doing the exact same thing with investments. You remember how so instead of you can buy more animals means that you can put more money in or the animals can reproduce. So instead of the chickens, cows, pigs, and horses, You have your investments, but what happens is the same way with investments. You have dividends, interest, capital gains. Capital gains means you bought at one price, it went up to this price. Capital gains, and what's number 4? Income. So that's how you build. So right now, I want you to take time and I want you to meditate. Say, how can I get more dividends? Dividends, by the way, are also stock pays dividends, okay? How do I collect more interest? Now, if you put down bank, then slap your wrist and know you haven't been listening to any of our shows for the last couple of years, because you want to look at how we would create more interest. And then capital gains, you guys already know we do seminar and we do whole shows on how to invest. And also, I believe we have one coming forward called I'll Go State of the Markets, where I'll talk to you about investing. And then 4th is income. We want to have a whole day where you say, how am I going to get multiple streams of income, or how do I get other ones, or how do I either write a book, or I'm not a singer, but if you can sing and get royalties, or you want to have royalties, dividends, interest, income, capital gains, how are you going to do that? So we want you to develop your farm, okay? So now how are you going to develop your farm? And then what sources of income, interest, dividends, and then do that. And then later on, we're going to talk about how to pass it on generationally. But anyway, I guess you can tell I'm from the Midwest, Minnesota, but we always want to grow your farm.
To a city girl, I don't know what you're talking about, but okay, so let's translate that into what can those of us who are in the city relate that to saving and preparing for the future. In this fast, we are saving, or we're not spending. Let me put it that way. Right now, we're not spending. And I know the goal eventually is to take the money we're saving and utilize it for the practice of building this farm in the city. And tell us, what are some ways in which, we talk about some small ways to save, like not buying coffee or, not eating fast food and those sorts of things. But what are some bigger ways to save money?
Gotcha. So also, I want to just also come back to something that we said, whether we're in the city or whether we're in the country or whether we're in the city and we're setting aside money, is that we said, we're saving money now. I want to make sure we are saving money right now. So what we want to do is look at what we bring in and start at least saving 10%. That's above your tithe that you're beginning to save, that we're going to use to set aside to invest. But one of the things is that look at how we save money now. So this is something for us to, one, meditate, think about, and then let's look at some ideas of how we're going to do it. See, back in the day, we had people that took their prosperity jars and then we saved certain amounts of money. And how they did that was some people recycled, which you can't do now during a pandemic as much as you could before. I'm not seeing that as much, or people saying they're going to do that as much, because they're not going to areas where people are to recycle. It appears like, like people kind of go on their job and then collecting them and doing things. But but if you still want to do that, you go right ahead. And some of the other ways, but the way that we spend is different now. People are still spending the same much. Now, by the way, your screen's not buffering right now when I say this, is that now, if you look at what people are just spending on Amazon during this 21-day period, like they're literally just buying something every day. Like you just might, during this 21 days, sit down and before we do savings, you write down in our book, and also in the book, The Wealth Cycle, I list over 100 ways, 95 ways of saving money. But let's look at how you can. I just want to start just encouraging you these ways. Number one, to look at your spending. So number one is look at your Amazon spending, okay? Before we do this, I want to explain something to you. There's something called a need, and there's something called a want. In the Bible, it says, my God shall supply all my needs. Doesn't say greeds, doesn't say wants. So we want to figure out what a need is, and then if we really want to do it. Because there's a lot of times, like even when I'm shopping right now, it's like when I go to Costco and I'm buying things and I'm meal prepping, I'm doing certain things because I'm doing this because we're not eating out. That one of the things that I'm doing while I'm doing this is this a need or is this a want? So certain things are gonna have to wait until after the fast is over, or decide if I even need it indefinitely. So you just want to do some of those things. But then also, to answer your question directly, just some things you guys want to do. First of all is pay your debts on time. All these late fees and different things like that, That's some very low hanging fruit. Second, call your creditors right now and negotiate with them. It used to be where they sent things to a credit agency and they would collect collection agencies. Now they're pretty much just handling the debt on their own. A lot of times you can deal directly with them. And you want to begin to do those. Also, renegotiate your debts. I don't know if we're getting into interest rates today, but we're also going to do a whole show on this later on. But interest rates are about to change. So we want to look at what your financing issues are and how they're working. But you want to have your debts also, as you know, we're talking about this, is pay your debts off. As you pay down your debt, that's money you're not spending the other direction as well. But those are some ways of saving some money as well.
Okay. So these are all questions that they've asked you on our Ask George button that they can click online. So you got into it a little bit. I'm going to just ask you to dig just a little bit further because on day 17 today, we are, it's about real estate and it's about investing in a more advanced way than just the savings that you talk about. So can you talk about some strategic ways that people can invest maybe with their employer? You mentioned real estate, but I mean, my God, we're in Los Angeles. Real estate has rocketed sky high and people are like worried, like how will I ever be able to afford to buy a house? It used to be Inglewood was really affordable, one of the most affordable areas in Southern California, or this part of town, if you will. But now I'm seeing condos in Inglewood for like $600,000. Up there by the cemetery, they're like $1 million.
Oh yeah, $1 million too, right? And then when they came out, and they were 800,000, everybody goes, I don't want to live next to the cemetery. And people like me were raising my hand saying, y'all, with all the noise that's happening around here, ain't nobody over there gonna bother you. I said you should do that. Now they're 1.2. And they're on 1,500 square. Listen to this. They're on 15. The people that don't live in California, they're on 1,500 square foot lots, but they're 2,300 square foot. So what does that mean? That means that they're building them up levels and in different things. So first of all, I want to start with this. Every person, you need to have a retirement plan. That is a great way to build wealth, but then also it's a way of also saving money in the area of taxes. So if you work for a for-profit company, it's called a 401k. You want to talk to your business people and be able to sign up for that. If you work for a 501c3, did you see how I didn't say nonprofit? We don't say nonprofit on this show. We don't say the word small business because there ain't no such thing as nonprofit or small business. If your business got 2 employees or 1 employee, guess what? That's your business, okay? So there's a 401k for a for-profit company, for a 501c3. There's also something called a 403b or a thrift savings plan. You want to be able to do that. If you work for a county or city, they may call it a 457. Or if you haven't heard all those numbers or you're from zero, then there's something called an IRA. That's an individual retirement account. Start and have a retirement plan and put money into it monthly. We're not going to say the markets go up and down every day. So what happens is that you can put into that in doing that. So you want to have that 401k. Also, as it goes for real estate, 2 things about real estate I just want to say, and then we'll give more information in the future, is if I were buying real estate, and I think we've said this and we do whole shows on this, is I would not be trying to buy a home that's turnkey done already, okay? I would buy a home like this is turnkey done. Then there's this level. I would get one down here and then fix it up. Dannete, if I walked into a unit, which you know, Dannete is our real estate guru, me and her have walked into properties, I've been like this. There's water damage on this floor. If you have the money to fix the floor and lay down a brand new floor, lay it down. If you don't, Dannete, what do? We put a rug down. There's a crack right there on the wall. If you cannot fix the cracks on that wall, you hang up a picture. And if push come to shove, just take a picture of me smiling like this and be in the property as opposed to not doing it and fix it up on your time and then be able to do that. And then you're in a $600,000 property before it turns into $800,000 or $1 million, and you do that. But we do very specific, I can go deeper, but you see I'm getting excited. We do whole shows on these. Dannete's our real estate guru. So when we do these things, and then I'm raising my hand. I'm gonna raise both of them. Pastor George Thompson at Faithful Central Bible Church for the last 10 years has done seminars called Buy Inglewood. I've been showing people. I do walkthroughs, and then before you send us an email, ask me to mentor. I don't mentor. I actually model it for you. Whenever I show, just stop me. Just say, Pastor George, you're lying. If I'm ever lying about this,
say that.
is this. Whenever I list a property for rental or anything, I send and we videotape it and take pictures, and I walk you through the property like I'm renting it to you. And then I do it both ways. I'm sorry I have to use the profanity. I also show it to you naked, meaning I say, this floor, I went and got this done. I did this and I invested this. Every time I invest $1, I expect to make 2 or 3. Now it's 2 because of all the stuff with inflation. And I walk you through it. But what we have to do is we have to understand what we're looking at. But the worst, it's almost like my wife knows that now. When I walk into a property and it's really, really ugly and it's in a great neighborhood, or right now, I'm gonna say it one more time, in Inglewood, we're buying telling people to buy homes that were 900 square foot. Now hold on, people in other states, just hear me out. 900 square foot home on a 6,000 square foot lot, put duplexes on them and triplex and build bigger units and stuff like that on there. But we'll do a whole class on that. Is that okay? Is that okay with you?
Yes, let's do that. I'm excited about that because the last few days of the fast, day 16, 17 is about real estate, business, investing. Day 19 and 20 is about dating. Well, actually, you said marriage and finances. But for those of us who aren't married, maybe they're dating. People want to know, can you do a show about finances for couples? Because here's the thing, we're getting a lot of people asking, what do couples do during the financial fast? Because they're not on the same page. One wants to go out to eat, one wants to do this, the other wants to spend money on that. You're married. Come on, give the people that are married some advice. Not that I'm bitter about it, but go on, talk to the married people about money.
When I teach that, when I teach that, so I have it's a chapter in my book, and it's called Financial Intimacy. What it is how you relate to money. You personally, then I show couples how to do that. As you know in the Bible, it says be equally yoked. So if you're dating somebody on the second date, after you guys hold hands and everything, and you hold hands after you do that, then you got to go ahead and run that credit. Just kidding. Okay, wait. Not right away, but you should be having, so one of the first things we want to do is make sure there's a couple things you make sure you want to do. Having open conversations about money. Like, you brought up my wife's name, so we had this little marathon team, and I wasn't dating her even at the time. And I just saw her, and she was looking cute and everything. And then I was, walking with her, down to LA, at the LA Convention Center, and we were just walking around. Then I said, I was listening to her, and I was talking to her, and I said, she's nice and everything. Then I walked up to the stand. I walked up to the little concession stand, and they said, and I said, hey, you thirsty? She said, and I said, hey, and the guy said, how much is a bottle of water? He goes, $2.25. I'll tell you, that was like 20 years ago. She steps back and says, I said, hey, are you thirsty? She goes, not for $2.25 a bottle. I said, you know what?
You fell in love.
This is the woman. Let me get on my knee. I said, this is the woman for me. You see, when y'all dating people, they giving you messages. They sending you singles. Listen to them. You know what I mean? That was just like she was talking sexy to me. She said, the way she said it, $2.25 a bottle, she almost did the Fred Sanford, like, Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey. I'm sorry, everybody under 35, there's a show, it's called Sanford and Son. The guy always did that whenever someone said something. That was his ex-wife. But so it's like, number one, have communication about it, and then talk about dreams. Like Kim and I, and doing this, and you guys have been in my real estate classes, know this. I used to drive neighborhoods with her. And I said, hey, someday I want to buy a house in this neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Actually, I drove in the neighborhood, the neighborhood I live in right now. I drove there 15 years ago. I just got reminded because my dad was there. I told my dad, I said, Dad, one day I'm going to live in this neighborhood, man. I said, look at these. I said, I'm going to live in this neighborhood. And I do now because I've driven them before. If somebody, people always say all that, this is my ride or die, and this is all this stuff. I'm like, really? Okay, well, let's see then. Well, start riding now. Mm-hmm. Start doing things together. because that's actually how it starts. So then you're both, remember that MIND? Let's all start. Hey, because if I want to live in this neighborhood, hey, we're going to live here together. So there's some sacrifice that need to be made. There's some discipline that needs to be made. There's some intelligence that needs to be made. And then when you put God first and then God blesses you, he'll move you there. But instead of waiting for what God's going to do, you need to be worried about what you're doing. And that's why we do the fast, by we can start taking the action, start moving in that direction.
Well, you better preach, preacher. Okay. So with that being said, day 21 will be upon us very soon. You and Bishop and Pastor JP talked about the convocation and the celebration. We've made all these sacrifices. We're waiting to hear from God. And so we end on the 6th, right? Yeah. So what should people do to keep this financial momentum going? Or do we stop?
Right.
What do we do?
Right. Well, first thing was, I went to this event last Friday where they were serving meat on meat and sweets on sweets. So I'm letting you know, I already told Leah, I'm coming back there, I'm going to eat a meal, and then we're going to come back to this. I would say I'm joking, but I'm going to go down there and eat, because they had the whole barbecue chicken thing. They had the whole chicken and the whole
sacrifice.
Woo, steak, ribeye, tops, yeah, everything. I'm gonna go there, okay. And then after that, but we want to do this, and all seriousness. What I'm learning from doing these financial fasts over the years is that people make such big gains that we're going to look at. Number one, the first thing we're going to do is look at what we're doing, and then seeing what we're going to keep with us. Like the way that we did a budget, and people said, hey, you know what? Maybe instead of doing this for 30 days, 21 days, I need to keep doing this budgeting for 3 months. If we're doing this, we want to help, or we want to do it till we get to the next level. Because as you know, there's you have what's called a financial being or well-being. You're at one of 5 levels. If you're struggling and sinking with your finances, meaning inability to pay bills, the next level, steady, you have just enough to pay your bills. But if something snap, crackles, or pops, you fall down. Then solid, that means you've been working somewhere for a while, putting in the 401k, doing that. On all these levels, you can be giving. Next level is surplus, quite simply extra money. Highest level service is doing it until you get to the next level, but taking away the best parts about it. Because you took 21 days to meditate on all these areas. And you say, hey, these 5 areas I'm gonna really go after. Investment, and then doing that, and then get to the next level. That's one. The second is, I hate to say it, and doing it, but we're looking at also doing this again one more time during the year, because there are people that came and it's like, it's running, like you learned how to run, but it's like, now we're going to learn how to sprint. Mm-hmm. You know, and the Bible says, if you contend with mere horses, how do you run with men? So how do you, I mean, if you stumble in open ground, how do you run with horses? We want to show you how to even run. You can even get better results if you do it again. So we're going to also do another opportunity to do that again, maybe during the summer as well.
Well, I don't have any more questions. I don't know if there's anything else you want to share about the fast. I'm excited about what blessings people will receive from doing this. 21 days makes a habit. That's what they say. So hopefully people have been blessed doing the fast this year. But thank you for having me, and I look forward to whatever next episode we have that you're going to bring to us. Good.
You guys, I'm always blessed to have Dannete with me here, always on the show. As you know, she's a producer of the show. She helps me with everything. She knows, she's one of the people that ask me, whenever she asks me a question, I always answer it, because some other ones in doing it, it's always a blessing. But I also just want you to know what the advantage is, or just also the benefits of you doing the financial fast. I've written 5 books over the last 20 years, and I do over hundreds of seminars a year. The financial fast, I take the 21 most essential, most efficient, just ideas, and then you have them. And you're literally focusing on them on a 21-day period to move you, but also your family and your friends to the next level. So one, I want you to be able to participate into it, but then also give us feedback on it. And then as you're blessed, you just continue to praise God through it. Thank you. Praise the Lord, family. As we're going through this financial fast, I pray that you've been blessed by the word. And also, please check out our playlist on YouTube. And hey, you know, this is Set for Life, where we live by design, not by default. I'll see you on our next episode.